Hello. Um, I was eating sunflower seeds.
Hey, I would like to debate Mr. Glasses formally. Give me a call back. Let me know.
I want to debate Mr. Glasses formally. Nice.
Hey, you're a bitch. Kill yourself.
I love the fans. Leaving voicemails. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Imagine being... I don't know. So the the tariffs are tomorrow, I think, going into effect.
The junior.
Is this live right now? Oh, this is different. March 26th. Bernie talking. Bernie. Caroline, leave it. Ah, man. You're listening to Parker? What did you miss? Nothing. Just 104% tariffs tomorrow. 104%. Really cool. Really awesome.
Joining us now is Andrew Chen. He's the co-owner of 316, a powerhouse fashion brand here in the US, of which I am a customer. And Andrew recently did a video talking about the effects of tariffs on smaller fashion brands like himself. And so we thought that it would be great to actually have him on the show and to discuss. So the video you put out is 3 ways that the new tariffs will affect fashion brands like yours. So why don't you just break some of this down?
Now I saw them, I saw him and Dean are going on a tour with Charlie Kirk, or following Charlie Kirk. And, you know, respect to the work. Respect to the work they do, you know? You know, respect to them having enough money and resources to do that. But, when it comes to the cultural battle that we're in right now, I really do think we need different faces other than soy boy, 20-year-old, boys who never really saw the real world and they cry about slurs in the most annoying way possible, and they're from like LA and don't know anything about how any median voter's thinking, and they just sound like pretentious assholes. Although I do like some of their content for sure. I do like it. I just don't know if I mean, I'm sorry, but I sound like a pretentious asshole sometimes. All the time, actually, all the time. But I don't know. I think we need different. I think we need different people being able to do that stuff. But that's just me. I just did they cut off that Harry Sisson guy over the girl stuff? Did they cut off the Harry Sisson guy by chance? I didn't see anything about that. I saw them complain about it. But did they cut him off? Russian then a liberal. Billy Robbins, you're funny. What a good guy. What a smart guy. Call the phone number. Drop a like on the stream, and subscribe. Call the phone number. Yeah. Good night. Basically. The conversations around tariffs so far about the whole economic crash, the Trump talking points that MAGA's using that resembles communism and Maoism about material wealth not mattering and money not mattering, and who really needs items and who really needs to have a good time, or who really needs your phones or your laptops. We can live over what material holds us back from the real thing that matters, which is supporting our nation. Direct, communist, fascist, whatever arguments, it doesn't really matter who you go to. Same arguments that authoritarians always make when they're about to do some crazy shit. Even Liberation Day, bro. Even Liberation Day sounds like we're about to commit some type of like group suicide, to sacrifice ourselves to some type of god or a cult to make sure we fulfill our national duty to each other and our fatherland or motherland or whatever. It's all cult coded. It's all very scary. It makes zero logical sense. That's why even like Republicans in the Senate are stepping up a little bit. Rand Paul and a few others. Actually fact checking Trump. It's a big deal to have Republicans fact checking Trump for anything. But yeah, this is something that can cause a complete global meltdown. The economy can die for America. this current Trump tariff trade war thing only benefits China. Right now, China is coalescing a new world order, not in a conspiratorial way, but just, as a trade partner. China is now more reliable than the U.S. China is a more reliable partner than the United States of America. And, countries really want to get away now because we have a crazy ass leader. So like the tariffs only help China. And in fact, the tariffs, where they're set, there's zero chance at all. There's zero chance that the tariffs make it so that more businesses open up in the U.S. Am I banned? No, you're not banned. Nice. All hail Jasmine Crockett, Supreme Leader. I don't even want to argue today. Just gonna watch you. You don't gotta argue. Why would you have to argue? We don't need to argue. There's good things happening for everyone. I mean, the stock market only affects the rich people, right?
For the audience, Andrew, and tell us, as somebody who actually runs one of these businesses, clothing, textile, something that obviously there's been a lot of outsourcing on, will affect somebody like you.
Thank you for the opportunity to come on today. And yeah, we're still trying to navigate all of this. There's a lot of uncertainty in the air. But the number one thing that we wanted to touch on was the increased costs that we face. We bring in all of our fabric for our denim, which we're denim brand. That's what we make the most of from Japan. And the new tariffs we're looking at about a 24% additional cost on fabric that's coming in. I think something that's difficult for customers to understand.
We should have no issue importing denim from Japan or clothing from Vietnam. There should be zero issue with that, by the way. Zero issue. God, there's so many things. There's so many real concerns with global trade that Trump just kills our ability to even talk about because he's such a brain-dead moron.
And we saw this in the comment section of the video that we posted, is that a $10 increase in raw materials doesn't just result in a $10 increase at retail. We're part of a value chain model, which
you're making your 401k is now 20k. Hey, at least you got it like that. At least you got it like that. That's a good thing and a bad thing. Why are Democrat lefties so gay? I'm proud of you, buddy. That's a bot from China, probably. A bot from China. All right, that Billy Robinson's getting a little bit annoying. Who said that? My goodness. What's going on here?
Call from
Juan.
Hi.
Hey, what up?
Nothing. Nothing much. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm chilling.
I was eating sunflower seeds, almost choked, but yeah, I'm good now.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. All right, man. What's the subject? What are we talking about?
I don't know. You're supposed to have
Hell
a
yeah,
subject.
dude.
What's going on in your brain?
I don't know, man. Fuck everything, right? That's all I gotta say. They all work for the Jews. That's all I gotta say. They all work for Israel.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Who's y'all?
I mean, they all do. Trump, Biden, whatever. They all work for the same people.
I mean, they work for a lot of people. It's not just Jewish people.
Yeah, but it's like a good amount of them are Jewish, right?
A good amount of them are also white.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, man. Fuck Israel, though, right?
So are you anti-white people and Jewish people?
Nah, I'm saying fuck
That
Israel.
doesn't make any sense.
No, man, I don't got a problem with fucking white people. I don't got a problem with anyone. I just got a problem with the people that, are running this shit, fucking poisoning our food, killing us.
Oh, cool.
Is it?
You like RFK?
I mean, I feel like he's a total fake and a total fraud. I was like kind of like hoping he was real, but it doesn't seem like he's real. I think he is. I think he is real.
That's awesome. Is there any like political opinion about Israel?
Is there any political opinion about
Is that
Israel?
Is that your only political opinion?
I mean, I think it's a big one, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because like, if you're on the left, obviously, like, and if you're someone that's on the right, I think we should try to get together and be like, yeah, let's not send our tax dollars to fucking blow up kids in Gaza. You know what I mean?
Well, we're gonna blow up a lot of places with Trump in office. Probably more than we did under Biden. Almost guaranteed. More than under Biden.
Yeah, but whatever. Fuck Biden, fuck Trump. But like, let's look towards the future and try to prevent any more bombing.
You have to vote for Bernie Sanders then, I guess.
I don't really know if I fuck with Bernie Sanders.
Well, you're just useless then.
Am I?
Yeah, because I mean, if you don't support like the most anti-war politicians that we have, then you don't really have any real opinions. You're just kind of cringe.
Who's the most anti-war politicians that we have? In
The
your
only
opinion?
person like Bernie Sanders is definitely the cleanest, most anti-war politician, most anti-corruption politician we have in government, for sure, with a record to back it up.
Yeah. Was he against or for the Iraq War?
He was against Iraq and Afghanistan, I'm pretty sure.
Was he? I mean, I'm
Yep.
not sure, to be honest. I don't
Yeah, he
really...
voted against both. And he never took any money from any corporations or anything like that. I think he may have voted for one of the Ukraine funding packages, but I think that's definitely justified. Yeah, he definitely voted against all the Israel ones.
Well, shout out to him. I might not agree on some of his other things, but if we can get together and agree on that, you know what I mean? I'm all for it.
I guess so.
What do you mean?
I guess.
Yeah, for sure. That's what's up. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. I'm anti-war. You know what I'm saying?
I'm pro-war with Russia and Ukraine. I'm
You're
pro-funding
pro-war
Ukraine.
with Russia?
I'm pro-funding
Really?
Ukraine's war. Well, their defense,
pro-
yeah,
you're-
100%.
You are, huh? That's interesting. So I mean, damn. You know what? I've never heard anyone on the left say that they're just flat out pro-war. That's
Well, I'm not pro-war. I'm pro helping like Ukraine defend itself. I would never say like I want to use war as a conflict resolution, but if it's something like that that's justified, then you kind of need to be.
so you're pro-war, is what you're saying.
No, not at all. I'm pro defending our allies with aid. I would never say like troops, U.S. troops on the ground, boots on the ground, or anything like that. But when it comes to supporting Ukraine, for sure, with aid.
Yeah, I'm down to support them, but I don't know about sending them billions and billions of dollars. I think there's a better way.
No, I think that's the best way we probably could, especially because that's they needed ammunition and missiles and all that kind of stuff, and we really didn't send them that much money. We sent them like a large, like I think every single year for each American, we sent them like 2 large pizzas. So for the price of defending an ally and that kind of stuff, well, not even defending, but just like offering aid. I don't think it was that big. Europe gave more money than we did, so.
For sure. And what's a scenario in which you see Ukraine winning? Like, what's like the winning scenario for you, in your opinion?
Well, Russia is very weak, a very weak country. They're not that advanced when it comes to their weapon systems. And their economy is usually just like a wartime economy or a petro economy, whatever you want to call it. So just like supporting Ukraine whenever they need. For Russia to take Ukraine at this rate, like all of Ukraine, it would take them probably like 80 years. Russia would need to stop if we just defended Ukraine. We're America, we could just give Ukraine support, and Russia would have no choice but to comply. The idea that we're going to be this big, weak baby in the face of just like giving basic aid to Ukraine, and we're going to talk like Russia's this big bad like enemy. They use like Russia has military parades and dumbass propaganda because they're weak. Because they're weak. Weak countries use propaganda to try and look strong and all that bullshit. But yeah, we could easily put a stop to that, make the world more stable. It's just like it's not even that much of a, it's not much of a I don't know, hindrance for what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of American interest that would love to see Vladimir Putin not in power anymore, so we can go in there and take over all of their natural resources and whatnot.
Well, just defending Ukraine is one of those things where it makes sense from a humanitarian perspective. It makes sense because we had a deal with them that Russia broke, treaties that Russia broke. It makes sense because they could be a useful ally for trade. Ally for trade. It protects Europe, and that makes our economy stronger. If Europe's stronger and more protected, and it does not risk any U.S. lives, the most we have to do is send them a couple large pizzas per America or per American. And like right now with Israel, they're dragging us into a war with Iran. So we're gonna get into a full-fledged war in the Middle East again because of Israel. Whereas, Ukraine, we could just
Yeah,
give
I
them
agree.
basic funding, and that's all they need. Like, Ukraine never asked for anything except ammunition, and I think you need to respect that about Ukraine. And we did have, deals with them. We helped them get rid of their nuclear weapons. And if the U.S. globally will make a deal like that, which I think is a very good one, and not back it up, it ruins the confidence anyone would ever have in the U.S., which I don't know if there's any reason at all to be confident in the U.S. right now. But still, I think, we made a deal with them. I think it's worth giving them aid. If it was like boots on the ground, I'd have a different opinion for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, definitely not boots on the ground. So basically, what you're saying is, if we stop the funding, they're gonna get toast, right? Do you think or no?
Wait, someone said Ukraine started the war with NATO. Andy, Ukraine did not start the war with NATO. It's a bullshit talking point. Every fact, if you look at, and by the way, Andy in chat, don't let the facts get in front of your infant way of idealistically thinking about your little dream world. But NATO is not the reason this happened at all. Ukraine also wanted jets. That's funny. That's hilarious. Funny, Ukraine is escalating the war. See, like, when you look at people make really stupid comments like that, they probably believe that, like, NATO promised to never move an inch east, which was never a thing. Russia, actually, in 1997, I'm pretty sure, recognized NATO's expansion. The deal was that the new NATO countries, when it moved east, would not be supplied with nuclear arms. That was the deal, and that deal was kept. But Russia is the one that violated the Budapest memorandums and also all the treaties and ceasefires that they had with Ukraine over the past 20 years. So Russia violates deals. Russia is a terrible country. Russian people, I'm sure they're under a brutal, it sucks to be under a dictatorship. But as a country and the leaders of Russia are disgusting, despicable people. And they put bounties on U.S. troops. They shoot their own soldiers when they try to retreat. People talk about Ukraine having a damn draft. America would have more than a draft, by the way, if we got invaded. But we don't got to talk about that. I don't know how we can judge a country that's getting invaded by a nuclear superpower. That we literally helped Ukraine be disarmed. We helped disarm Ukraine.
Yeah.
And we're talking like Ukraine needs to say thank you to us. Like, we have taken more from Ukraine than they could ever take away from us. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I agree, but also...
Wait, Andy, NATO did promise that to Gorbachev. Oh, yeah, you know what? You know who you did not listen to, you dumbass? Oh, man, I hate you dumbass idiots. You're probably a Russian bot account. Gorbachev himself talked about this on multiple occasions. I think like 50 different times if your dumbass could use Google for a second. Gorbachev himself said that was never included in talks. There was a rumor that someone mentioned that, but that's not how we do international politics. You might do that at the cafeteria when you're gossiping when you're in high school, but international politics, it matters what's on paper and what you agree to. Stuff you talk about in a negotiation is not going to apply for the actual negotiation and actual final deal. You can talk about literally anything. I could say I'm going to trade you LeBron James and Luka Doncic for Spencer Dinwiddie, and it doesn't matter because it's not the official trade at the end. But I mean, I think the Luka trade might have messed up. They might have hit send too early on that one. But anyway, yeah, Gorbachev literally clarified they never said NATO would not move an inch east. That was never involved in these talks, never involved in any agreements. Every right-wing commentator that repeats that is a piece of shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I've heard that point be said before, but I've also heard that it was actually not like on paper, right? That's what you're trying to say, right?
It was a random person during the reunification of Germany, West and East Germany. It was that NATO would not expand to the east in terms of Germany and Eastern Europe at the time. And now that's before many of these countries made a big push to leave the Soviet Union and Russia. The Soviet Union collapsed and then wanted to leave Russia. So that's why Russia renegotiated a deal, or at least they recognized with NATO. The NATO would be expanding. They could not control it. Russia could not control it because Russia's a weak piece of shit country. I don't know why America wants to make it look like a big tough guy now. But yeah, Russia could not control NATO expansion, so they made deals with NATO to say, hey, don't put any nukes in these new countries. But the conversation with Gorbachev was with like a random person in the administration with H.W. Bush, I'm pretty sure. And it was just like tossed around. Someone mentioned that in the context of the Germany reunification, but it was never spoken about East Europe, like so where Ukraine is, where all those countries are. That was a later thing, and that's when you talk about like the actual conversations in 1997. So yeah, that's a completely. If anyone brings that point up and they're a commentator who talks about this for a living, they are paid off by some foreign government to spread bullshit. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. You know what I mean?
No, you're not. I'm yelling at the chat. Don't think I'm mad at you. 'Cause,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's just like I hear it so much. I know that like Tucker Carlson will lie about it, or they'll say like I don't know, NATO aggressed upon Russia, and it's like literally Russia has aggressed upon all these countries historically. Like Russia's the worst country in the world when it comes to like repeated offenses with that kind of shit.
yeah. I mean, so when do you think like? But you could admit that like this whole like this a lot of people don't like know the whole I guess history of this like because it started way back in like 2014, right? Like most people think that, or at least the media makes it seem like it's just like Russia kind of invaded out of nowhere, but this is like it was more of a there's more to it, right? We could agree on that, right?
Yeah, after the fall of the Soviet Union, all the Eastern
Yeah,
European
no,
countries wanted to get away from Russia, and Russia
yeah,
wanted to maintain control of Ukraine at least through a puppet government. But that puppet government, with their puppet leader, was overturned with a revolution in 2014, where Ukraine said, "Hey, we're not going to accept this anymore. We're going to oust this leader and implement more of a democracy." They were trying to move
yeah,
west to become more of a democracy, which is really funny when people say it's hilarious when they're like, Ukraine's not the perfect angel. They're corrupt too. Yeah, they're corrupt because of the Soviet Union's influence, because of Russia's influence. They want to move away from corruption, and they have made a lot of progress. They could economically be closer to Poland right now if Russia wasn't such a piece of shit.
yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure, dude, for sure. I just think that we should just try to be, try to be going for peace and whatnot. That's
Yeah,
it.
but that's the thing where it's like, so like peace. During World War II, we tried having peace with Nazi Germany, and we gave them parts of Czechoslovakia, and they eventually went into deep into Poland. We thought we were going to appease Nazi Germany, like, oh, they're not going to attack any further. But we know that appeasing Nazi Germany led to, eventually U.S. casualties. And I know they say we're protected by two oceans, but you can't really appease these governments. They're not rational. They're insane. They're going to keep attacking. They're going to take whatever they can take. And the U.S. being involved in NATO is one of the big things that kept the globe more stable. Like trade deals, NATO, and like USAID are huge tools. If you're anti-war, you need to be pro USAID. You need to be pro NATO. You need to be pro all these organizations that keep the globe from falling into actual global conflicts. That's why we avoided global conflicts for so long, because the U.S. was able to steer NATO to be a strong uniting force for the global peace. And I know the U.S. has not been great, obviously, but the U.S. has been better than Russia and China, and the U.S. has played a key role in even more bloodshed not happening in globally. And we need to I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We need to re-implement these systems in a better way, but these systems are working as intended, and abandoning these systems, USAID, NATO, all that kind of stuff, we got to do it better for sure. But like the people who want to get rid of those, I guarantee you, again, and we know for a fact, like Benny Johnson, Tucker Carlson, they're directly paid by Russia. Tim Pool, paid by Russia. We know for a fact, guaranteed, verified. We know they're getting paid by Russia to be propagandists. 100% verified.
Tim Pool's paid by Israel.
Well, he's paid by
That's
Russia and Israel, but yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Go on. Sorry.
No, that's interesting too, because the Middle East is so complicated with their politics with Iran and Saudi Arabia.
You know what? I'll say this about US aid or whatever. I'll say this, like, if the money's going for some weird shit, like, yeah, cut that shit off. But like, I don't know, maybe like if it's something that's worth it. Like the other day, I was watching something on YouTube about the rise of Pol Pot, in Cambodia. You know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Pol Pot, the dictator. Yeah. So apparently, like, we were sending, like, the government right before the Pol Pot, the Khmer Rouge, we were propping up that government. We were sending them a lot of aid, and then like once I think it was like Jimmy Carter or whoever the president was at the time, like, they lost a lot of support in whatever party was in charge in that time, lost support, and then the Republicans, I think, whatever, came in and were like, yeah, we're not going to be giving aid to Cambodia anymore, and then that kind of like led to the rise of Pol Pot. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, maybe us giving aid is like a good thing, you know what I mean? As long as it's not going to some dumb shit, right? Can we agree on that?
No, and that's the big thing about this. Like, they bring up, oh, we went to a gay pride parade. We used the USAID funding to fund a $20,000 gay pride parade somewhere. And number one, I mean, free countries usually support gay people. If you're anti-gay, you usually align more with Russia and Saudi Arabia, which Trumpers usually do. If you're a hardcore, super hardcore Trumper, you definitely align more with Saudi Arabia's social policies than you do America's or free countries. So I think it's good to help encourage gay people to be safe in countries where they can literally be put to death for being gay. I think it's okay to do that. And also having more freedom in countries makes the world more stable, but whatever. In Africa, we get a lot of things done with a very little amount of money, because USAID or foreign aid in general and the international development is less than 1% of our budget. It's like 1%, maybe less than 1% of our total budget. We pay like 10 cents to keep a kid on from contracting HIV/AIDS or on a drug for it. We keep them from dying from different diseases. We prevent the spread of pandemics. We get goodwill with the people there. We open up trade routes. The globe is more stable. We reject China, who's trying to build out their Belt and Road initiative all throughout Africa. So it's again another situation where we spend a relatively low amount of money and get huge return from it. But it's not going to look like, I don't know, Americans are obsessed with like gambling or whatever, but we could do good things and get good outcomes without using U.S. hard power and bombing the shit out of places, which Donald Trump is now trading all of our soft power for literally only hard power, bombing the shit out of the freaking Houthis. I think that bomb strike in the past, like, the bombing campaign in the past like 2 weeks has cost $1 billion, I'm pretty sure, bombing the Houthis, and it's not even backed up by intel that it's going to help free up any freaking shipping lanes like they claim with the dumbass signal leaks or whatever. But
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's honestly, it's stupid, you know what I mean? Because I think it's all a distraction. I think they're just like, they're hyping up this Doge USAID or whatever thing, and they're just hyping it up. It's all a distraction. It's like, yeah, don't, pay attention to Elon Musk. Be pissed off at that motherfucker and Doge and all this shit. And it's like, but we're also going to be, like you just said, we're going to be bombing the shit out of the Houthis in Yemen. Like, what the fuck? Yemen is the poorest country in the Middle East. Like, what the fuck? They pose no threat to us,
oh my god, someone in chat, $10 million is not cheap. You know what? In a country of 340 million people, the richest country of all time, yes, it is cheap. It is cheap. Per person, we can give a cent per person and have freaking thousands and thousands of dollars to put towards causes. It's 100% cheap for the United States of America. I don't know why we think we're a third world country that has no resources and we can't affect any change throughout the world in general. If someone says soft imperialism is bad too, yeah, I agree. Everything's bad. The world sucks. Sorry, don't watch politics if you're just gonna woke scold everyone. Like, unironically, like, we need to do things in the best way possible, but sometimes you need to do difficult things in a way that's not going to be the best. Like, we can't be at peak for every situation. We need to try and do our best with what we have. So if we have a decision to make where we can either direct America to bomb countries for power or to give medical treatments to open up trade routes, I'm going to choose soft power and opening up trade routes every single freaking time. And if we don't have the globe be more stable, I know you bring up Russia and China haven't invaded as many countries as the U.S. They were not able to. Every chance Russia and China have to imprison people and sex traffic kids and put people into slavery and re-education camps, they take the opportunity. You can't talk to a Russian or Chinese civilian. You can't even talk to someone who lives in these countries who is not a state approved propagandist. In America, you can talk to anyone in America anytime because we are a free country. So I'm sorry that America has invaded more countries, but we've been in the position to do that. And if China and Russia were in our position, they would have done 50 million times worse. They can't even treat their own people with any type of at all, even a baseline of human existence. Like, their re-education camps are crazy. Russia is literally selling Ukrainian kids on the black market right now, and no Trumpers are going to talk about that when it comes to protecting kids.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard something about that, but to be honest, I'm not 100% sure on that. Like, I haven't really heard like a whole lot of shit about that, to be honest.
Yeah,
is that like
no, they
is
don't
there
talk
like
about that.
is there reporting on that? Like, I'm honestly like genuinely curious about that.
Yeah, so we had if you look up, we had like a group that we were funding. It was really another really relatively cheap thing. It was like a task force to track all of the kids that Ukraine stole from, or that Russia stole from Ukraine. So they would like steal kids from neighborhoods and re-educate them to be super pro-Russian zombies, and then they would go back to their parents and be like, they wouldn't even recognize their parents and stuff. So Trump actually disbanded this task force that was keeping track of these kids. So you can look that up. He disbanded that. And yeah, it's pretty well known that they just like take kids when they occupy new areas of Ukraine. They just end up taking more kids. And it's a big thing they've done for a while now. And they teach them Russian and make them into perfect little propaganda monsters. It's pretty messed up.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a good chunk of the Ukrainian population that actually speaks Russian
So
already.
when it comes to speaking Russian, it does make sense that many Ukrainians do know how to speak Russian, but I'm pretty sure 85% plus speak Ukrainian as their main language and identify as Ukrainian. A very small percentage on the very far borders identify with Russia. And one of the big things is, if you identify with Russia more in Ukraine, much of the polling is done under Russian occupation. So you might see a poll from Crimea, but it's after Russia occupies them. And like, if you vote in Russia, if you ever looked up a picture of voting in Russia, it'll be like an old lady voting, and a guy and a fully militarized person will have a gun to her head as she's voting, making sure she freaking votes Putin or whatever.
Yeah.
So on the border of Ukraine, like if they want to be Russian, they
Yeah,
can walk
yeah.
to
The
Russia, but they don't
the
for a
eastern
reason.
side, like the Donbass and shit like that, is more like it's more ethnic Russian, and
But
they
see,
more
but
identify
you
as
have to be
Russian.
careful though, because saying they identify as Russian or they're ethnically Russian, that's the same justification Hitler used to invade countries, is that they're ethnically German or they identify as German and they're or Aryan blood or whatever it might be. Usually ethnically German. That's what he said about Czechoslovakia and Poland, I'm pretty sure. So the same justification Putin uses to invade Ukraine is the same thing Hitler said to invade the countries around him. So just be careful when you're making those connections,
Yeah,
because
I
of
mean,
course, like if we invaded Canada or if we invaded any country next to us, they're gonna speak, either English. They're gonna have accents that are close to American. It's just because they lived in proximity.
yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but like all these countries have like pretty like you know, crazy history. Like like the history is very complex. You know what I mean? It's like imagine if like if Mexico invaded California and their justification was there's a lot of ethnic Mexicans there, which is true, right? Like
And they would have more
there
of a
is a
claim,
lot.
right? Because Texas and all those states were Mexico before all the battles down there, and when America took
Yeah,
all
I
the
mean,
land.
but
So
like
yeah.
with the Holy Roman Empire and the first German Empire and all these things, like the borders have shifted a lot. So you know what I mean? Like I'm honestly not trying to fucking justify World War II or nothing like that. But I'm just saying like borders change but people change. I don't know. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I need to
The
look
borders
up.
are complicated.
Yeah, they're complicated, but it's one of those things where, like the legal system right now, with Trump deporting these innocent people to El Salvador, under the legal justification there, you can commit human atrocities, which they're already doing, human atrocities in my opinion, and by any legal perspective. But also they could take U.S. citizens under the same legal ruling. So like, if you defy law in any way, then it's gonna open the door for a ton of conflict, a ton of bloodshed. So like international boundaries, when borders are drawn, we need to maintain those borders, because if we don't have borders anywhere, and if we could just have countries invading each other, and like Russia can say, oh, this little part of Ukraine wants to be Russian and can invade it and pillage everyone and rape them and take the land, we're just going to live in the 1800s and have countries fighting each other perpetually, fighting each other for land grabs. So we need to respect like borders and everything for that reason. And Ukraine has voted many times, pretty strongly to move away from Russia, both through voting, and I know the eastern portions of Ukraine were like 60% wanting to become its own nation, separate from Russia. I'm pretty sure 50 or 60%, but also through the revolution, and ousting the pro-Russian leader in 2014 was a clear message that they wanted to move away from Russia. So we have to be like super careful when discussing borders. And I know I guarantee Trump's going to use that as justification for Greenland. Everyone hates them, so it's hard for them to do it. But Canada, there's some crazy people that have been on Fox News a few times. But you see Trump making the similar justifications about Canada already, so that's really, really scary.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, basically, Trump has abandoned his whole platform that he was talking about. Like, he never mentioned any of this shit. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's bullshit. 100% bullshit. If anyone is like still hardcore MAGA, they're just fucking. They're part of the problem. You know what I mean? It's like if you voted for the motherfucker, like that's cool, but at least be able to stand up and call his ass out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and someone in the chat, I think he's a communist or something. But about Buddy says nothing about CIA black sites. Yes, I agree. America bad. America bad. America has done bad things for sure. But we're dealing in the current context. Oh yeah, America has black bag people. Yeah, we did a lot of that during the 60s and 70s, especially. We moved away from a lot of that to a decent amount, especially moving throughout the 2000s. With Obama, we actually did make strides with a lot of those things. But right now, when it comes to deporting the people who are legally here to an El Salvador slave camp, There's zero justification or precedent for that in American history. So if you think this is
Yeah,
just business as usual, then you're brain dead.
yeah, that's I was gonna say that's crazy, and that if people are, I don't support that. First of
Oh
all,
yeah, but now they're
but
like today they
yeah,
just said
but
they want to send citizens there. They want to send
yeah,
citizens there. Trump wants to send freaking U.S. citizens to El Salvador slave camps.
yeah. So here's what I want to say. Like, for the Trump people, it's like, you have all these laws that you think that they, on paper it's like, oh, we're just going after criminals or terrorists or whatever, but it's like eventually those same laws that you're for are going to be used against you. People don't realize that. It's like, oh, like today it's going to be, oh, some anti-Semitic person, some pro-Palestine fucking person on a visa that gets kicked out, or a U.S. citizen that gets taken to El Salvador because he's supposedly a fucking MS-13 or whatever. It's like they'll just throw whatever fucking label.
Yeah, they just lied, and they'll put a picture of a guy with like tattoos. They never share the actual picture of the innocent people they're sending there because they want everyone to just say, oh, it's a brown guy, he's dangerous.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying,
like,
though. It's like like the Patriot Act, okay? It's like, oh yeah, we're going after terrorists, but it's like, no, eventually it's going to be used to go after U.S. citizens.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the call. I will say that national emergency powers, whether it's Hitler, or anyone, national emergency powers have always been the dictator's best friend, through the executive, and also like Hitler
Julius
with the Enabling
Caesar.
Act, and like with the immunity decision for Trump, and also the inability of the court to just say no to what's happening. Is going to be ours if we let this continue. But yeah, thank you for the call, man.
Yeah. I just want to say one more thing. I think we're at that point. Where we're gonna have our Caesar crossing the Rubicon with Trump soon, but we'll see.
Well, if he does use tariffs, we're gonna have a Great Depression, unironically. So we'll see.
All right, bro. Peace.
All right.
Peace in the Middle East.
Oh, you have a good night. Who's this person? Hi, Jeff. Hi, guys. Hi, members. Hi, Jordan. Jordan, thank you for $20. Deep in the depression. That's true. Hi.
Hello. Hello?
Are you in a blender?
No, I'm in a car.
Oh, okay. Thank you for $5, Devin. Andy, Gorbachev replied, the topic of NATO expansion was not discussed at all. It wasn't brought up in those years. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat for $5. Yeah, it was not discussed during those years. In the context of Germany reunification, it was a topic brought up about moving east for Eastern Germany, I guess, at that time. But it was already confirmed that if it was brought up, it was not to talk about NATO at all. But yeah, what's up, man? Caller.
Hey, how's it going? This is Jaron. Just found your channel and just thought the discussion was interesting and just felt like calling in.
Yeah, what do you want to chat about?
I'm not sure what's your platform. I wasn't sure what you wanted to discuss.
Right now, the big story is tariffs.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, personally, I'm a fan of the tariffs. I think it's a good long-term play. I think it's good for the United States. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, my opinion is that there is zero reason to believe any of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think
zero logical reason.
I think the Ukraine war is a good example. I think even though Russia is sort of a failed state and weak by the numbers, nonetheless can apparently outproduce the West in armaments, and artillery shells, and steel, and heavy manufacturing. And so
Russia's military is not 1/15 of ours. It's not even 1/50th of ours, to be honest. Like, Russia's military is dog shit. I'm not gonna lie.
That may be, but nonetheless, they're winning the battlefield. And I
mean, we
think
could do that. Countries have done what you're talking about for the past 100 years. I'm talking about like global trade, and like right now the tariffs are a huge gift. I don't even know where to start with this, honestly. It's just, even being at the point where you're saying the tariffs are possibly a good thing at the levels that Trump is doing them at is so far away from any basic reality. It's really hard for me to approach the conversation, bro.
Well, sure. Well, do you think the United States has industries that it needs to protect for national security? Do you think the United States needs to be able to, if, as you said earlier, the United States needs to stand against China, stand against Russia, don't you think?
Yeah. See, this is the issue, though, is to defend tariffs, you need to bring up these points, not the actual tariffs themselves. So we can agree on points about national security, or like maybe some industries should be made here, some medical supplies, or steel production for national security reasons, maybe some chips and semiconductors. If we can move some production here, I mean, that can be a goal, but we're not talking about the tariffs now. We're talking about what the goal is. We're not talking about the method. The method of the tariffs, you could look at conservative economists, liberal economists, leftist economists. They all know this is like a insane thing they're proposing. And you can do tariffs in a way that is not going to kill the entire global economy and the U.S. as a superpower, because China might overtake us due to these tariffs. It might make China, it actually will make, like, if Trump goes through with these tariffs, it'll make China very strong, much stronger than they would have been without the tariffs.
Well, China's already strong. I think that's sort of the
It'll make them
point
a lot
of the
stronger. It'll speed up the process of them overtaking the U.S. for sure if we do the tariffs like Trump wants to.
I don't think so. I think the United States needs to be able to make steel, needs to be able to make ships, and needs to be able to make artillery.
Okay, you're saying, you're doing the thing again where you're not talking about the actual method of doing this. So we can agree on certain goals, but that's not how we, what you're saying, like the tariffs are gonna, by the way, the tariffs are gonna make this worse, by the way. It's gonna decrease American manufacturing. Like, it's gonna decrease our ability to do this.
Why would tariffs decrease the United States' ability to manufacture?
Okay, so
Well, we're already, without tariffs, the United States manufacturing has disappeared. So
yeah, so actually under Biden we got like quadruple our manufacturing under Biden. The spending for manufacturing quadrupled under Biden, especially for the electrical components that we need.
Well, Biden was 4 years. We're talking about 30 to 40 years of manufacturing leaving the United States.
No, I'm talking about like Biden when it comes to national security. The manufacturing that left the U.S. is not national security focused. Like, we don't need the textile mills and the shoe factories and the clothing. That's not national security. But we can look at like steel or engines and.
What about
No, okay. So ships, we already have something that protects us from ships. But shipbuilding, you need a government effort to spur that, because we're just gonna, the free market's the issue here. Like, you need to stop the free market and use government subsidies or government incentives to push it in a direction that'll make like ships and everything. Because China makes all the ships because they can do it more effectively and cheaper, and businesses are gonna use that. And like tariffs right now at the levels that Trump's talking about them. For American businesses and consumers, especially small businesses, he's putting a 50% tax on Americans, 100% tax on Americans right now. He's putting the tax on Americans. We need to pay that. Americans need to pay this tax to the government if we buy products from these countries. So we're taxing the American people, the highest tax increase in American history, essentially, for working class people. The highest tax increase in general since the 1950s when we had a 90% tax rate for the ultra wealthy. For the top marginal rate. So this is the biggest tax increase in American history done by a Republican president. So Trump is doing, like, he's doing central planning right now like a communist. It's just like...
Well, is that bad? If he's behaving like a commie, you don't believe... Are you against taxes? You're a self-described progressive. Are you against... Is your problem with taxes? Is your problem that you believe in the free market? Is your problem that you support supply-side economics? I'm confused. You sound like Milton Friedman.
The fact that I sound like, okay, I am a progressive, but the fact I sound like Milton Friedman to you should probably show you how far off the freaking cliff that Trump's going, honestly. Because I'm just talking about very basic tenets of not even the free market, just markets in general, how they function. So like
that's a supply side libertarian free market angle. It's a very strange. That's not progressive. Taxes aren't bad.
Regressive taxes are not progressive. So Republicans like taxes that hurt poor people. Like we have, so a progressive taxation system like income tax will tax rich people more, but tariffs tax everyone the same. So it disproportionately affects working class and poor people. So this is the biggest tax increase on poor people, working class people in American history for that reason. Because it's a flat tax essentially. It's like a sales tax, so it does hurt us more. If we replace like income tax with tariffs or with sales tax, that would kill working people. The final kill shot to them. Okay.
Are you against sales taxes?
Yeah, I'm against sales tax. Yeah, for sure.
You're against sales tax. Are you against cigarette taxes? Are you against vice taxes?
I might be okay with cigarettes. I'd probably just ban them if they're that unhealthy, to be honest.
Even though that affects the working class disproportionately?
Okay, so like what I'm talking about is taxes that will affect everyone regardless of what they do. You know, you don't need to be a working person and engage in cigarette usage. I can't even compare that to other goods that a working class person needs to buy to fix up their house, or furniture, or whatever else might need to be done around their house that they have to pay a sales tax or a tariff for. And small businesses are going to get killed too in this process. But like with the tariffs, okay, let's say we put 50% or a 100% tax on all these different items. and we don't have a manufacturing base in America already. Putting these taxes on is a death sentence for American companies. To move production for supply chains or just like a factory in general, it's a 5 to 10 year investment. You can get a factory operational maybe in 4 to 5 years. You have to find a place to have the factory. You have to buy it. You have to find people to build it. You have to actually make it operational. You need to, find the equipment for it, find employment. It's 4 to 5 years to move any singular factory. So the idea that Trump's going to put like a economy crippling tariff on us right now makes zero sense from any perspective of actually moving supply chains. If you want to move supply chains, you don't just like kill the economy and then say, I hope it magically happens. Like Biden with the Chips and Science Act is a good example of what you actually need to do, which is like, I don't know, 5 or 10% tariffs on certain goods, and then you subsidize it on the other end to encourage domestic manufacturing for it, because the domestic manufacturers are going to be hurt. Even the items they need to build the factories are going to be tariffed now. So if they do make new factories, it'll be a super high cost. So I mean, it's all just a big cluster, man.
I don't know. I mean, but that sounds like supply side. Just give companies money, and they will magically produce stuff.
Yeah, well, that's Trump's entire. No. So like, Biden's is targeted.
Trump's coming at it from the demand side to increase the prices for imported goods
for consumers.
So that,
increase the prices for American consumers and businesses.
Sure, I'm not against taxes, so that's fine with me.
I'm against that kind of taxes. It hurts working people and small businesses the most out of any tax you could possibly do. I want to raise taxes on the ultra wealthy to pay for these things, not on working people.
Okay. And so if you think, do you think manufacturing should come back to the United States? Is it just a matter of do you think the government should just be handing money to corporations to do that? Or do you think it's a problem? Do you think the United States needs to produce steel, produce ships, be able to produce artillery
I'm
shells?
sympathetic to the idea that we need to produce. Okay, we already produce military equipment more than enough. We don't really have issues with that in America. National security for us would be like food and lumber. I would not attack Canada and Mexico if the goal is to be self-sufficient in terms of the North American allies or whatever it would go. I'm not against the idea of like selecting industries like batteries or semiconductors and saying, hey, we're gonna encourage that manufacturing in America. I'm against the idea of these tariffs right now because they decrease manufacturing, they cripple small businesses and American people. It's the biggest tax on working Americans in American history, unilaterally done by the president. Even if you supported these tariffs, okay, for businesses to make 5 or 10 year investments, which is how long these investments actually go, for how they finance them and the terms of like building it and everything, for businesses to make a long-term investment, Congress needs to pass a real law. We can't just have an emotional president who's PMSing constantly, turn them on and off every day. You know, companies are not going to invest in the U.S. They'd probably just wait 4 years and reinvest when Trump's gone, if anything, because there's no confidence at all in what the U.S. will do policy-wise, which is going to push even more countries to China, which is a lot more stable economically and for what decisions they're going to be making.
Well, I think after Trump leaves, that if the tariffs are still in place when he leaves, that they will continue. Even if it's a Democratic president, they're not backing off of it. I mean, Biden kept in place Trump's tariffs in his first term. So I think there's broad policy support for
Okay, but
it.
Biden's tariffs the tariffs Biden kept is on like 0.05% of U.S. goods. Okay, this is on 100% of goods that we import. All input costs for materials, all items that are being brought into the U.S., we're putting out 100% tax on Americans who buy things that come from China. We're putting like a 50% tax on things that come from India and like on like Vietnam. Like Vietnam is a huge ally. Vietnam and India, we actually convinced companies to move there instead of China because they're more favorable allies to us.
India and Vietnam are not U.S. allies. India, first of all, did not condemn Russia for the Ukrainian invasion. I think to call India an ally is...
They're more favorable partners than China is, and we convince companies to move to those countries instead of China, to not give China more power. But now they're going to start thinking a little bit different. They might go back to China. Like Japan and South Korea might do more trade through China now. Like Europe and all these countries we're attacking are going to be pushed towards China. China's replacing us in the World Health Organization. They're replacing us. All the USAID work we killed, China's going to replace us doing that. We're giving China a huge win here on every level, and it's hard for me to explain it because I don't even know what point I could say to convince anyone that doesn't already have prior knowledge. So I don't know.
No, I disagree. Do you agree that the U.S. is the largest consumer economy in the world, larger than the EU and China put together, as in consumption? There is no replacement for the United States as an importer. China cannot absorb any other country's imports. China does not have the consumer base to consume those goods. The United States is in a unique position and holds a lot of cards as being the largest consuming economy in the world. And it seems obvious to me that countries are going to have to come to the table for a clause accord.
You cut out. I don't know if you're still here. You cut out though. You're back. You just cut out. You're back now.
Am I back?
Yeah, I think you're back.
My point was that there is no replacement for the United States consumer economy.
That's why it's even dumber that Trump wants to have equal trade with these countries too. Like the fact Trump is going for equal trade with these countries is suicidal. Like the idea we're gonna have equal trade with Vietnam is just insane.
Well, I mean, I think Vietnam is a small prize regardless. The main and China.
Okay, his phone's disconnecting. What does it mean? What does it mean when What does it mean when someone who supports a Republican presidential candidate or a Republican president, you know, that caller just said that, you know, I said I'm a progressive. I said I'm a progressive, but he said that I sound like Milton Friedman. How cooked are we? How cooked are we if someone that supports a Republican president said that I sound like Milton Friedman because I explained basic principles? Like even communist countries, by the way, like Vietnam, China, these are all communist countries. These are all authoritarian command economies. And they understand these principles very well. It's just how markets function. It's not even free market. It's not even ideological. It's just like a basic function of the economy. Input costs to businesses. I just don't like... I can't make up for... I don't know. If someone has zero knowledge about finance or econ or trade or anything, I can't make up for those deficits. I don't... I saw Dova in chat. This idiot not worth the time. Yeah, probably true. Who's this guy? If someone else wants to call in, feel free to call in. Drop a like on the stream. I might restart it for real. Tariffs have been used throughout history. We got a president constitution. Tariffs have been used, and they're stupid. Like when Trump says that from 1870 to 1913, tariffs funded our entire government. And that's when we were truly rich. And it's like, you realize in that time period is the worst time to exist as a human being. Like, the Gilded Age freaking sucked. Like, okay. Thank you for the $20. I saw Jordan donated too. One moment. Intended to bolster domestic employment manufacturing, the tariffs instead deepened the depression because the U.S. trading partners retaliated with tariffs of their own, leading to U.S. exports and global trade plummeting. Oh yeah, the global effective tariff rate, which I believe is just like everything we export, like what the effective rate is going to be charged to those. The global effective tariff rate went from 2% for the U.S. to, I believe, 8% now. So the reciprocal tariffs that countries are doing back at the U.S., the reciprocal tariffs, now if you export something, they're tariffing our goods when it comes to the effective rate at around 8%. So Trump has quadrupled our rate that we're getting tariffed when we export our goods. You are too young to have an opinion on any of this. Zero life experience. I hate you. Oh yeah, I wasn't alive long enough, so I don't know basic fact. You're proof that it doesn't matter how old you are, you're gonna be stupid. Doesn't matter how old you get, you're gonna be the same dumbass. Your YouTube name is Open Your Eyes. You should shut your eyes. What does the USA export? Well, our farmers, by the way, are a huge exporter. Our soybean farmers especially. If China cuts off soybeans that we give them, that's going to kill our soybean farmers. Our soybean farmers are screwed because our soybean farmers need that. We'll probably have to bail out a lot of businesses at the end of this, if they even do that. They might, I don't know. Our national debt's going to look horrendous, by the way. We might have the worst national deficit since 2020. With the economy shrinking, the IRS is definitely not going to collect taxes at the rate it should be. I'm going to reset my YouTube Shorts, by the way. I'm going to reset my YouTube Shorts. Come right back on it. I'm going to reset my YouTube Shorts. You go to my other stream that's up right now. I'm going to reset YouTube Shorts really quick, though. I'll be right back. I sent you to my other stream. I'll be right back.